Hello. So in the previous episodes, we were building data tables in Ruby on Rails application. So we could sort by different attributes. We could paginate a list of records. We could search. So you see, whenever I type something in the search bar, it searches by many attributes like the first name, last name, email, country, or name of the company that employee belongs to. And we could also have a drop down to select all the employees from a specific country or all the employees that are active or inactive. And it was all happening thanks to the gems Ransack for search and sort and Pagy for pagination, and we used the Hotwire Turbo Frames to be able to reload only the content of the table without having to refresh the whole page. And now we are going to go a bit deeper and try building more advanced form elements. So, for example, here on the Amazon website, we have search on top and we have different kinds of filters in the sidebar. For example, we can select multiple brands that products belong to, and like we have this checkboxes, we have radio buttons and different kinds of form elements. And here is a short preview of what we are going to build. So I refresh now, and you see we have a search form on the top of the page, and we have different filters in the sidebar. So we have like an option to see all the employees, or only the active ones, or the inactive ones. We have an option to filter the employees by country, so we see like all employees from a specific country, or we can select multiple companies that employees belong to. For example, we want to see all the employees from this company and this company that are active. You see, with these filters, it works nice, and the interesting challenge here is that this form element is separate from this form element, like they are not in the same div. So we're going to learn how to have form elements that are separated in the HTML. So let's see how we can do this. I'm going to go back to the initial state of the application, and let's have a look at our index page. So here we have a search form on top. Here it is, our search form. And we have a turbo frame into which we have a table with all this contents wrapped in. And we are going to start with filtering employees by company. So we want to be able to select multiple companies that we want to see the employees from. So let's try adding a field, a multi-select field here. To add a multi-select field, I'm going to start with just doing a select field. So I'm going to copy the select for country, and I'm going to name it not country equals, but company name in. Why company name in? Because employee belongs to company, and company has a name attribute. So I'm going to say company name in. And why do we use this in thing? Because if we go to the Ransack documentation, there is this option match any value in an array. So we can have like all the employees from this company and from this company if there are any. So we're going to search for company name in, and the select will be company name in. It will be company dot block name unique, and everything else is going to stay the same. For now, let's see if it works. I have company name select, so whenever I select the company, we see all the employees from this company, but we don't yet have the possibility to select employees from multiple companies. And to do so, I will just say multiple true here. I refresh, and you see the type of the field has kind of changed. So now I see like all the employees, now I see all the employees from this company, now from this company. And if you click either Control or Command and select multiple, you'll be able to select the employees from multiple companies. So works fine. But for example, on the Amazon website, we have these like checkboxes. So let's try doing it with checkboxes. And to do this, we're going to use collection checkboxes. So let's see how we can use it. I will try to copy this line. I will comment that out, and I will have form.collection checkboxes. We're going to pass in company name in. we'll have company block name unique, and we are searching by name, not by ID. So we'll have name, and this is like the value, and here is the label. So again, it will be name in our case. Let's see if it works. Undefined name for company. Oh yeah, because here like I'm plugging by name, so we can just have like company.all. Okay, and here we have a list of companies. Let's just refresh to the initial state of the page, and we have multiple companies that we can select from. Let's actually submit whenever we submit the form whenever we select a company. Let's add this on change this form request submit. And see if it works. No, it doesn't. I think I need to add like some kind of braces here. Yeah, and now it works. So you see, I select all the employees from this company, now this company and this company. I can filter. So it kind of works. Okay, but what if I want to have each of them in a separate line? I would need to add some kind of styling. So we can pass a block inside this collection checkboxes. We see it again here in the documentation examples. So I would have collection checkboxes do checkbox. And here I would have an end statement. And I would have equals checkbox.label. Let's go back. Here we have just the labels of the checkboxes and checkbox.check underscore box. And let's just have them all in separate lines. I'll have them in separate divs. And here you see each of them is in a separate line, so looks much better. Okay. And what if we actually want to have a sidebar as there is here? So we will have our main search here that is going to be kind of full width, and all the other filters are going to be in the sidebar. How can we do this? Let's first try like adding the sidebar with CSS. So we have our first element that is here, we have our second element that is here, and we will have a sidebar on the left of our table. So I'm going to wrap the table into a div. We'll have a div class flex. In this case, I'm using Tailwind. Then I have another div that will be the sidebar. Then I'm going to wrap our table and our turbo frame into a separate div. So let's just put it all inside this newly created div, and let's close the two divs. So here and here. Let's refresh, and here we kind of have an empty sidebar, and we have this. Now let's try moving this collection of checkboxes into this sidebar. Now, what is the challenge here? The challenge is that the form is complete here. The form ends here, and we don't want to wrap everything into this form, because the sort links, the buttons to destroy something, or well, we don't want to have like the whole page inside one form. We want to potentially have like other forms in the page. So we cannot just have form.collection checkboxes here, because form is not defined, because the form has finished here. So now I've lost the markup a bit. Okay, so what can we do? You see, the form is not defined. We're going to just use collection checkboxes, and here we're going to define queue and company name in. Yeah, so we have it here. Let's just comment the other thing out. Oh, I'll just remove the other thing. I can't easily comment it out. Okay, so here I have the checkboxes present in the sidebar. It's not in the same div, in the same form. Let's just try having a look. I'll go to inspect element, and here we have our form. It has ended, and we have our div, and inside it we have another div, and inside this div we have our input. Why did I have Q here in the beginning? Because it is the identifier of the queries that we have in all the other form elements. Here, for example, if I go to country equals, I have Q and then the name of the query. So anyway, we need this to submit to the form, because right now it's not been submitted to this form, like it's not been submitted anywhere. It's just a field that exists outside of anything, and it does nothing. So for this field to submit to this form, we can simply give this form an ID, search form. You can like have anything in this ID. And inside this field, we're going to define that the form equals search form. So this field exists on its own, but it submits to a remote form, a form that is in another part of the page. And this is super cool. So I will refresh, I try searching, and you see it keeps submitting correctly, and the form is submitted to the controller, and the controller refreshes the table. So this way, this field exists outside of the search form, but the search form has an ID, and we specified that this field is being submitted to the form with this ID. And in a similar fashion, we can move our select country to the sidebar. So here we had select country equals, and now we are going to have, without a form defined, we would have Q country equals. Let's see if it works. Okay, we have something, but we also need to define the form that we are submitting to. So form will be search form. Let's refresh and see if it works. It seems to be working. You see, I select the country Egypt, and we have Egypt here. So we can remove this. We don't need it anymore. We've moved our, we can remove this one, the country equals, from the navbar, because we already have it here. I refresh the form, and everything is persisted. Okay, so we have our country selector, we have our multiple company selector, and it looks okay. What if we want to have our active equals true or false as radio buttons? So we can select all or true or false as radio buttons, but not as a drop-down. Let's try doing that. So I would have equals radio button. Then we are going to define Q active equals. Then we are going to say this radio button will be for the true value. And again, I'm going to say on change this form request submit. And the form will be search form. Let's see if we have a radio button here. Yeah, we do. So if I refresh all the employees, I click on this radio button, you see we have only the employees that are active true. We don't have the active false employees. Let's have another radio button for employees active false, and another radio button for nil. So in the case of nil, we would have all the employees. Let's refresh. So now we have nil by default, all the active employees, all the inactive employees. Now let's add some kind of labels to these buttons so that we see what these radio buttons are for. I would have equals label tag, and what would the name of this label tag be? Let's see. Let's go to inspect, and the name should be so this is like active equals, and the value is true. So yeah, here's the ID. Q active equals true. So the ID is going to be q active equals true, and active will be the label here. Let's add this label, go back, and now whenever I click active, we're going to select the active employees. We're going to do something similar for inactive employees, inactive, and here we will have q active equals false, and something similar for nil. So here, inactive, it's the false, active, it's the true, and for nil, let's see what it should be. I will go to inspect, id q active equals, without true or false. So just like this. Okay, now when, yeah, I would have all here. Okay, so now I have all selected, I have active employees selected, I have inactive employees selected. Only inactive employees from this company and this company, only active employees from these companies. So works nice. You see, this kind of filtering looks just magnificent. And I would also add a label tag to our select. So what is the ID of the select element? Let's see, ID q country equals. And our label tag will be named the same, q country equals, and here we will have the label country. Okay, let's just put it into a separate line. Country is in separate line, our radio buttons are in a separate line, and the drop down to select a company is in a separate line. And let's just make the search full width now. So I'm going here and I will say class width full. Okay, and we don't need these selectors anymore because we've moved all these fields into the separate form element here. And again, each of them is not part of the form, but we define the ID of the form that they should submit to. So it looks quite nice. But Ruby on Rails also has not just these elements like radio button or select, but it also has such things as checkbox tag or select tag. And let's just go a bit further and see how could we make it work with select tag. And really it would be a bit harder. So I would prefer using like select, but not select tag, and here is why. So let's just select a few values now. I will like have this country selected, I'll have a few employees selected, company selected, I will refresh, and the search values are persistent. Remember this. And now let's use not select, but select tag. And with select tag, I'm going to have to define not just like q country equals, but it would be q braces country equals. Then instead of employee block, I will have something like collection select. So options from collection for select. I think this. Employee block country unique. Then I would have to have the other attributes. Let's see if this works. Given 1 expected 3 or 4. Okay, no, this is wrong. Yeah, it's just options for select. The simple version. Yeah, equals select tag, the name, options for select. I think we don't need these braces. Okay, so here we have our country select, and it kind of works. Now I will refresh the page, and you see the country has been removed because I have to specify the selected value here. So the selected value will be params.dig q country equals. Now I refresh, and let's go back. I select the country, I refresh, and here you see this query is well, a bit harder than the previous query because I had to manually define like the value and name and had to use these options for select, whereas in the previous option I just passed a form identifier, field identifier, and the list of employees, and I didn't have to specify the selected value. And a similar thing would be with like radio buttons. For example, we want to use not radio button but radio button tag. So again, it would be, let me stop using the previous one. It would be Q active equals true. Then we would have to define the selected value. Let's not just define the selected value now. Let's see. So I will select active. I'll select all active. Now I refresh the page. You see, none are selected. So I would have to define like selected. Let's try true for the beginning. No, it doesn't work. Yeah, so not selected but true. Yeah, and now it is always true. Like no matter what I click and refresh the page, this one is set to true. So now I specified that it is checked, and I would have to write some kind of special query to check if it should be marked as checked on page refresh. So it would be something like params.dig q active equals true. If this is true, then this one will be selected. Let's refresh. So I go to active, I refresh, and now it is selected correctly. So generally writing this kind of radio button tag or select tag syntaxes are a bit harder because you have to manually set the case when it is selected, rather than when you just have select or radio button. What we did is we learned how to use elements like collection of checkboxes. We moved a few fields that are submitted to this form remotely, and we had a comparison of using radio button versus radio button tag or form radio button. So same with like select, form select, and select tag. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for being with me, and see you in the next one.